Okay, so we're up and recording. They say, welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to be talking about working faster by setting up your digital workspace. So it's all about, how can you set up Microsoft Office so that the useful things are where you need them, when you need them. And we'll have some other top tips as well. So just a whole bunch of tips today, right? Before we get started, I'm just going to turn off my camera. There we go. All right, so let's get going. And we might as well start here in PowerPoint. So let me go here. Okay. So what am I talking about when I'm saying setting up your digital workspace? Well, I'm talking about things like setting up the options, setting up your quick access toolbar, using things like creating your own tabs, those sorts of things. And then there are some that are specific to each particular program. So if we come up here, you might notice that across the top of my screen here, so as we go across the top of my screen, I've got a whole bunch of things here that you probably don't have on your QAT, as we call it, the quick access toolbar. And you'll particularly see that if I just select a couple of things, you'll see here I have these buttons here. Okay, so how did I add these? What I did was, this is as I say, this is my quick access toolbar. So you can add things in a couple of different ways. Right at the very end, you've got this tiny little button here, this tiny little button, and you can click on that to customize your quick access toolbar. Okay, so you can do that. And here are some popular commands, but there are also more commands here as well, and the ability to show this below the ribbon as well. So that's one way that I can add things in. Another way is, let's say that I was really keen on my align text button. I can just right click and say add to quick access toolbar. Okay, and you see that is then added that there. Okay. All right. So anytime you want to add something, one of the easiest things to do is to say you can just go things like right click and say add to. That one's grayed out because it's already there. You can see. And I can also then say customize and show the ribbon and customize the ribbon and collapse the ribbon as well. Okay. All right. So if I wanted to remove this, I can just right click on it and I can say remove from quick access toolbar. So that's the quickest and easiest ways. But sometimes you want to add things that aren't actually on in the ribbon. So in that case, what we want to do is we want to go into that customizing. So from here, let me show you the other way we can get to that customize is if I go to File, Options, and this is true in any Microsoft Office product, I can say Customize Ribbon or Quick Access Toolbar. Okay. Now, let's have a little look at this screen here. So where I've got here is a list of all the possible commands. So on the left-hand side is all the possible commands, and on the right-hand side is what I've actually got on my quick access toolbar. Okay. Okay, look at that. Sorry, that's a new feature. I've just discovered a new feature. So here we go. This is my popular commands. So at the moment, it's just showing you all the popular commands, but obviously there are other commands too. If I click on this little drop down here, I can say I want to choose commands from popular, commands not in the ribbon. So that's commands that you can't get to from within the ribbon at all. They may be legacy features, or they may just be hidden quite far down in dialog boxes. So there's those ones. There is the all commands and then macros. Then also here we've got things like the individual tabs. So if I'm saying I want to get something that is on the review tab, this is just going to show me all of those commands that are available on the review tab. Yeah. And then, so those are all the ones that you can see all of the time. And then below that, there are the context sensitive tabs. So these are the kind of tabs that, for example, something like the equation tools design tab, that would only ever show, that particular tab would only show if you had your equation tool, if you had an equation selected within your document. So you might find some of these are quite handy to add in to your quick access toolbar as well. So let's say that I wanted to add in my equation symbols, for example. I just highlight it here and then I can click on add, and it's going to add it in there, you see. Okay. Now, if I wanted to move that to a different place, I can't drag and drop it, unfortunately. I just have to click this move up, move down buttons. Okay, so you can see that there. This is also a place where I can come and I can remove things. So that aligned text I had earlier, for example, I can highlight it here, click on remove, and it's just going to pop it back over there. Okay. All right. Other things that can be useful to you here, you've got a reset button. Okay, so reset just the quick access toolbar or reset all customizations. I'm not going to do that. It took me a while to set up my quick access toolbar, so I'm not going to do that. One of the things I can do here as well is I can import and export. So this could be handy if you work on different computers. So if you find that at the university, you're often popping onto other computers around the place, you can export the customization, and it exports as I think it's a .txt file, so text file. So you can export it onto your S drive. Or onto your U drive, so into your My Documents, and then when you log on to another computer, you can come and you can import. So you can actually take that customization with you. Okay, so I'm just going to say, another little tip for you here is, let's say that I've got all commands. Now you can see this is all of the, so there's lots of them. So these are all the buttons. These are all the commands I could possibly add. There's a lot of them, as you can see. But let's say that I know, obviously that's a lot to scroll through. If you click within and then hit the first button, the first letter of the word you're trying to add, it will take you straight there. Unfortunately, I'll just test this actually, because it only ever takes the first letter. So if I try to type free there, I type FR, it just takes me to R. So it's only one letter deep, that one. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, I say okay. And now you'll see that we've added on that equation stuff there. And I can do all sorts of things, there you go, with that sort of thing. Okay, so that's your quick access toolbar. Really handy to have that. Another reason why it's handy to have that, these showing, is that if I then hit my Alt key, okay, so you see when I hit my Alt key, I get all of these little letters and numbers and things. Okay, so let me just grab these two things again, because it's easier to see then. If I hit my Alt key, see I've now got all of these numbers along here. So if I said, if I hit number 5, for example, it's just left align those, because that's what that little button there does. Okay. If I hit my Alt again, I can then go 6, and that will center them, and so on. Okay, so that's another reason why it's really handy to have your quick access toolbar set up. From here as well, you see we've got these letters. So that was the numbers, that's my quick access toolbar. I've also got these letters here. So for example, if I wanted to go into the animation tab, I can then hit A, it takes me into the animation tab. And then I've got letters like P for preview, I've got C for my animation pane, double A for adding animation, and so on. So that's just one of those keyboard shortcuts that works. It's just hitting that Alt key. Okay. All right. So that's your quick access toolbar. Now you can also customize the ribbon. So again, if I just right click on something, oh, that's adding the whole gallery. Let me go over here. I can customize the ribbon. Now it's going to take me straight back to that same place. So remember, you can go File, Options, and it will take you into here, Customize Ribbon and Access, and the Quick Access Toolbar. Now the thing about the ribbon is I can say that I want a new tab. So let's say I've got a new tab. So here's new tab. I can click in here. I can right click and I can say rename, and I can call this Lucy. Say OK. And then I can add things in. So let's say I can add in a new group as well. And I come in here and I can rename that group, and I can call it stuff and say OK. And this is where you can then add in like your favorite things. So let's say I've got all of my favorite things in here. I want to add this in here and group. I'm going to add that and so on. And I'm going to add in layout to that one. And then what else am I going to add in? Oh, just lots of random things. Transitions, add it. So you can add in all of your favorite sorts of things. Now, just so you know, if I just had the ribbon selected, so my tab selected, and I try adding something, it won't let me. Okay, so I actually need to make sure they're within a group. Okay, so if I now say OK, I now have Lucy's tab. And these are my groups here. So that one I called stuff, and the one that I hadn't named still called new group. So this is how I can add in all of my favorite tools. So things that you use often, you can create your own tab. And another thing that you can actually do then is if I right click again and say customize the ribbon, I can actually turn off all of these other tabs as well if I wanted to. Whoops. Oh. Let's try using my touch screen. Whoops, don't turn off my one, and so on. So I can turn all of those off, and I can say OK, and then it's only going to show me the ones that I've got left on. So if I wanted to, I can leave just the Lucy one turned on. You can also export in the same way that you export and import the quick access toolbar customization. You can do the same within your with your tabs as well. Okay. All right, so that's how to customize that quick access toolbar and your tabs as well. One other quick tip for you, that collapsing thing is this one here. So that's collapsing the ribbon. And it just gives you a little bit more screen real estate. So if you're working on a laptop or something like that, just gives you a little bit extra space. If you want to get these back, if you either hover over them, it's not going to work for me. Or if you hover over them, they will reappear, or you can single click and that will appear and that will keep disappearing. But if you double click, it will turn it back on permanently. So you've either got that little button here, or you can double click. Okay. Or as well, you can right click and untick collapse the ribbon. Always lots of ways to do things. Okay. I will just pause briefly and see if we've got any questions on that. Okay, no questions so far. All right, let's go have a look at some options. So options is where they hide the good stuff. Okay, so if we click on here and we go into File and I go into Options. Now these are dependent on the particular program that you're using. So in this case, I am using PowerPoint. So I've got these general ones. Some of these are quite common, like things like your username and things like that. And then you get into quite specific ones. So here I've got my proofing. So, you know, things like ignoring the words in uppercase, ignores words that contain numbers. I can untick that if I don't want to do that, and so on. I can add in custom dictionaries. I can check my spelling as I type, or I can hide spelling and grammar errors. You know, all of these sorts of things you can do. With the save, again, there's a whole bunch of options within here. Language options are fairly common. Advanced, though, this is again where they put all the stuff they don't know where else to put it. So this again can be where they've hidden some really good stuff. Okay, so we can come up here. You can see I've got all sorts of stuff in here, lots of good things. So come in and have a look at this, because this might be where you find it's a good way, as I say, to come in and get your workspace ready, your digital workspace, so that it's doing things that you want it to do. Okay, so yeah, we've got things like here, when printing this particular document, you know, follow these settings. I can make sure I can set that up in advance. If I sent it to somebody else, that they would also, if they went to print it, it would use the defaults. That's not to say they can't change it, but it would change those defaults. I could also then, if you see a drop down, quite often what that means is it's saying just in this document or in all documents. So there can be a way to change them. That particular one wasn't one of those, but quite often that's what it means. Okay. Okay. Things in here. It's not going to let me do them all. Okay. So that's options. There's another good place to go and have a look. And any ones where you might go, I don't know quite what that means. There's normally a little eye. If there's a little eye there, you can hover over and it will show you what, trying to explain what it is that it's talking about. Okay. All right. Now, these little things here are absolutely great. So anytime that we want these here, oh, you'll notice because my quick access toolbar, if I go into the developer tab, no, it's not going to show me. Let me unselect so it's not showing. You see how those, they kind of disappeared? That's because I had a tab showing. Yeah, can you see that? But if I click on that, it'll show me the more commands. So it'll show me the commands. So it's quite a good idea to have your, the ones that you really want. as far left aligned as you can. Okay, alrighty. Now there are some ones that are specific to particular programs as well. So for example, something like Outlook has a whole bunch. I'm just going to pause my share while I open up Outlook. Okay. I don't want you to see how many emails I've got. So I'm just going to go and show you a few things that you can do in Outlook in particular, but you'll notice that there are different ones for different things. Oh, come on, Outlook's not responding. Okay, here we go. And let's go into here and okay, let me just start resuming my share. All right, so there are some specific things, something like Outlook. You'll notice here that I've got things like I've got the weather showing. Yes, that's what I'm doing right now. So I've got the weather showing. If I can click on here, I can also pick other locations as well. So if I want to see what the weather's like in Melbourne, let's say I'm going to Melbourne later in the week, I can see what Melbourne is like here. You'll notice that I've got it on here in centigrade as well. So you might find that that's something, let me go back to Adelaide. Again, you can go through things like files and options, and in here, you can come in and that is in, I think that was in the advanced in there, is things like, so you see this looks completely different to the one in PowerPoint. So it's worth coming in and having a look because you'll find there's different stuff in each of these, okay? So you can come in here and that sort of thing. Now, other things that you can do in Outlook that you can't do in other things, for example, is if you go into your view. So you have things here like your reading pane, your to-do bar, you can have your people pane turned on. So you can have all sorts of things showing here. In my to-do bar, I want to see my calendar. So in my inbox, for example, I have my calendar showing, so I can see what's coming up. As you see, I've got lots of stuff on. So let me I can turn that off. I can do things like I can have my folder pane on. I can have all sorts of different things. So it's worth going and having a look, have a little bit of explore. I can also change my view settings here. So I can come in, I can completely customize my view in Outlook, and that's really worth doing. So set it up the way that you like it. Make sure that you see what you want to see. Now, there is a new feature as well. So I was showing you how to add in things to your quick access toolbars and so on. There is a new feature. I've got Office 2016. This is a new feature in here where it says, tell me what you want to do. So you can see here I've got, change reading area, show to-do list and so on. So I can click on show to-do list and then it will show me to-do bar and I can turn on my tasks. So this little thing in here is quite handy. So I can let's just backspace out there. Let's say that I wanted to send. Yep, so it's coming up here and I've got send all, send receive all, send this folder. So it's looking for this if I'm going, hey, get help on send or smart lookup on send. So actually now, if you don't want to customize, or if this is a tool that you use quite often, but you don't really want to add it to your quick access tool because you don't use it that often, now with this new little feature here, you don't necessarily have to. Which is quite handy, I think. So for example, if I come into here and I go, it's saying, tell me what you want to do. Let's say that I want to align. So there we go. I've got my align objects and I've got all of my align ones available there. Okay. So if you don't want to add them all to your quick access toolbar, then you can just come up here. Or I've got, if I want to do merge shapes, I've got there how to add shapes and I've got compare and merge just there. So if let's say that I wanted to add in a table, I can just click on right table and just do that. So these are quite cool. It's quite a cool little thing which can save you the need to add lots of stuff to your quick access toolbar. Okay. All right, a couple of other things that I'm going to show you, which is more around using the computer generally. So while this doesn't really fit in today's topic, I really wanted to share it with you because I get really frustrated when I'm watching over somebody's shoulder and I see them logging into, say, one of our university systems. So let's say that I've got, let's say I'm coming in here and I go to my home page. Let's say I was coming in and I said I wanted to come into staff and I wanted to go into the library, for example. So I've come in here and I want to sign into my library. I see so many people who, let me just get rid of that and rid of that. So many people, they click in here and they type their thing and then they get their mouse, they go and get their mouse and they move and they click in here and they type the thing and then they move their mouse, they click in it. You don't need to do that, people. You do not need to do that. All you need to do is you type in your thing and you hit tab. And you hit tab, and can you see how the login there is now selected? So that means I could just hit enter. It's not going to let me log in because that's not actually my username or password. But that's really handy. I get so frustrated when I watch people logging into systems. Tab, type your username in, hit tab, type in your password, hit enter, and you will get logged in so much quicker. All right, so that's one thing I wanted to share with you. Another thing is I've just opened up Windows Explorer. So Windows Explorer is the way that you can explore around in your computer and look at your different files. By the way, I just use the Windows key. So the little Windows key, it's normally between next to your Alt button on the left-hand side of your keyboard. It looks like a little Windows logo. There's lots of keyboard shortcuts that use the Windows logo. So Windows M to minimize all of your screens and just go to your desktop. Windows L to lock your computer, which you should always do. Never walk away from the computer and leave it unlocked. Okay. So Windows L, and then Windows E to open up Windows Explorer is the one that I just used. Anyway, so I've got here my quick access. You'll notice some of these have got little pins next to them. Okay, so those are particular folders that I have been using a lot. So if I go, I'm coming into my Finance 9.2, I've been working a lot on that. I actually haven't been. That project is now finished, which means that I can now unpin that. So I can right click and I can unpin from quick access. And it's gone. Yay. So any ones that I want to can be in here. And if I want to add a particular folder to here, so let's say that I've got to go into my projects and I want to add that. I just click into projects. I can come up to my quick access. I can right click and I say pin current folder to quick access. And it's just a really nice, easy way to keep going back to a folder that you need to use often, or one of those ones that you can't find very often, you keep forgetting about. So that's a really good tip for making sure that you've set up your Windows Explorer to help you find things easier. Another tip I have for using your Windows key as well is, rather than having to go into your Start and then into all programs and searching through trying to find, let's say I wanted to open up Excel, all I need to do is I hit my Windows key and I start typing Excel, and there you go. There is Excel. It's also found some recent things that I've been doing and so on, and I can also search the web if I want to. But let me just, Okay, let me show you something even better as well. I can hit my Windows key and start typing Excel and then just hit enter so I don't have to use my mouse at all. It'll make you a lot faster. Okay, and that brings us into Excel, where I can also show you, I've got a few less things on my quick access toolbar, but the things I have here is pivot table and grouping. So there's a couple of things I use a lot. And again, if we go into the file menu here, and file options, you'll see that again I've got different types of options in here. So I've got options around my formulas, obviously, things like the error checking and so on. I've got things like things like the workbook calculation. So if you're working on a big complex workbook, you might want to make a manual calculation because that will speed up. So if you've got a lot of formulas and there's a lot of data in there, it might run slowly. So if you do find you've got a spreadsheet that's running slowly, you can change the workbook calculation to manual. Yeah, we've got the proofing. Remember, that's common to everything. Some safe stuff, that's pretty common. Language is common. And then the advanced, where we find the good stuff. Okay, so this is where you find the good stuff. All right. Okay, I see it's one of those drop downs where we can choose different things. Okay, so that pretty much shows you everything that I wanted to cover. So remember, you've got this quick access toolbar. If you want to add something to there, you can just right click and go add to quick access toolbar, and there it is. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. You can also click on your little drop down and say add some either of these common commands that are here, or you can say more commands, and it will take you into that space that you can also get to through File, Options, Customize. Okay, so customize the ribbon. You can create your own ribbon, don't forget. You can also import and export these. Particular programs have got their own things as well. So you might want to go into something like, for example, something like Outlook really allows you to do lots of customization of what your screen looks like. And all of this is going to speed you up. Other things that are going to speed you up are things like using your tab key when you're logging onto things, using your Windows key and start typing to open up a program, adding favorites to Windows Explorer. Remember, that's that right click option. All right. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions for me? And while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to launch my quick poll. And let me know what you thought of this webinar. Okay, I'm just going to close that poll in 10 seconds. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay, if you're frantically typing a question, please raise your hand. I'm just going to close that poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for that. And I have a question. Let me just go and have a look at the question. Outlook calendar, how do you add features? Which feature was that then? Hang on, where we go? Outlook. Okay, so having this, hang on, let me move that out of the way. So you mean having the date and time up here? I think they just arrived automatically up there. It may be because of the version that I'm using. But you could add, what would that be called? Weather. Weather. Get help on weather. Let's see what happens. Forecast city, add a location. Yeah, I've done that. Delete a location. Change the temperature. Okay, you might find that it's because I'm using 2016. Because the weather bar, it's not telling me how to turn the weather bar on, so I presume that it comes on by default. The weather bar, with the weather bar. Yep, I presume that means it's because I'm using 2016, sorry. No worries. So yep, if you're not on 2016, you might not be getting it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks for coming today, folks. As you can see coming up, so our next one is we're going to be looking at text columns. It's really, really handy feature in Excel that people just don't get as much use out of as they probably should do. It's one of my first go-to tools whenever someone gives me a problem they're trying to solve in an Excel spreadsheet. It does so many amazing things. So we will be looking at that next time, and the one after that will be on VLOOKUPs. We're still just deciding what we're going to be doing in November, but other than that, just like to say thank you everybody for coming, and we will see you next time. The webinar should be up, the recording of the webinar should be up later on today. Okay, but thanks everyone, bye.